Okay, we're here today with John, or Shad0wburn3d, as many know him, and he is wanting to update us with what is going on with all this weather phenomenon. Has been going around doing a lot of lectures, teaching on what's going on. So go for it, John. Tell us what's happening.
Okay, well, first I want to start with some validation on what Mike from around the world has been saying with the U.S. Navy maps, the maps that Pastor Paul Begley has shown recently. Currently, those maps could potentially be very realistic in the timeframes that Mike is saying. We've had geologists and other individuals come forward. Paul Beckwith, just not too long ago, from Canada. He works on climate change. Just announced that the permafrost has melted so much that we are going to see the sea level rises actually increase, the sinkhole phenomenon actually increase exponentially. So this all, and Paul Beckwith, he's not a follower, and he doesn't know who Mike from around the world is. And, you know, he doesn't follow Begley, but he does work on climate change. He's an actively engaged person that's actively engaged in real world climate change. So the fact that, you know, we have other sources confirming the same information,
Right.
it's very, it's getting more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to actually bring forward is something that's not actively being talked about, and that's what we actively see when we go out. Like Mike would say, people are going to go out and they're actually going to see something with their own eyes. And that today, I just did a tour from New York City back to Dallas, all across the East Coast. And not just the fact that I've just recently done that tour back, documenting some stuff, is that we have a potential, like Mike is saying, where we have the Earth is radiating out like gamma radiation, right? But I look at it because I'm more in the electrical field of electrical energy. That type of radiation carries a positive or a negative charge with it. And currently what we're seeing outside with weather on all these weather stations and just going outside in general is, if you look at the cloud formations look like you're standing out on a ship in the ocean, where you have the charges where they're strong enough to keep the clouds very low to the sea level. So out here at different elevations, we're experiencing that no matter what the elevation type is. And you can see that, like when you're looking at one-story buildings, you know that a one-story building is not that tall. You know how tall your average cell towers are. They're not that tall. Mike has been bringing for a while talk about atmospheric compression in the jet stream and the high winds. Well, currently what we see with barometric pressure is that all of that is actively happening. So that is really unfolding, it's really occurring. So with these ground currents becoming more increased, it's causing the opposite charges between ground and the charges that the clouds carry, like, because clouds carry a positive and a negative charge. But when they become more opposite, increasing in strength, then they want to connect with each other. And what we're actively seeing now in the skies is these giant, massive clouds that are carrying high charge potential, like electrical current, electrical charge, lightning, the whole, you know, all of that stuff that goes along with it, are dropping lower and lower and lower to ground surface level. Mm-hmm. Now, what we have been seeing and experienced with these drops is we've had more power failures. We've had bridging of circuits, basically where we're short circuiting things in transformer boxes and utility poles, and we're having exploding transformers. So it's basically short-circuiting a lot of things that are going on in the power grid scenario.
Mm.
So now I could share these with you guys, but I've been trying to actively send you guys photos. I'm also working with people that travel across the United States extensively, and we've been taking barometric pressure readings, and not just relying on what you see on your phone or, what some of the weather stations might be reporting, because so much data today, we're having a hard time trusting that. So now we've got these precision barometric measuring devices that we carry out into the field, and we're noticing that within 20 to 30 minutes of a time frame, that we can get about a half a pound to a 1 pound swing in barometric pressure. Now, what does that mean? Well, a quick Google search on our habitat, which is the human habitat, we'll know that our safe level is 30 pounds of barometric pressure. That's what we need as human beings to be able to survive and live comfortably and all that. Now, if that pressure changes too fast, it can cause things like migraine headaches, heart attacks, seizures. It could even affect things like fish or animals or birds. And it can put stress on the body. It can cause joint pains. I'm sure everybody's heard the terms in the past, like, like when a storm is coming on, I can feel something in my joints or in my back or something like that.
Right.
Well, that's easily proven with these barometric pressure devices, because when there is a swing, you can see how that actively is having effect on the body. It's kind of like when you get in an airplane and today they talk about, like how it's dangerous for some people to fly if they might have blood clots, for instance.
Right.
Well, the reason, right. So the reason for that is that barometric pressure change, that pressure that it's causing on the body, the stress, the tissues to expand and all that. Well, that is an active phenomenon that's going along with these changes that we're experiencing today. And I wanted to bring that forward and make you guys aware of that, make everybody aware of that. There's many of my followers that I've been making aware of that, and I get lots of people reporting to me about this phenomenon daily. And a lot of people are getting nervous because the clouds, as Mike said in some of his broadcasts, right? Like the winds will pick up, infrastructure will be damaged.
Mm-hmm.
As these clouds start dropping down at these one-story levels, we're already seeing like trees getting knocked over, blown over, trucks getting thrown over. And these are things that have actively been getting documented right now from people I know in the field that drive trucks all over the United States, do food deliveries, you name it. So it's a very real thing that's occurring. Flooding is occurring, and the sinkhole activity, it's definitely picking up.
Mm-hmm.
But the greatest thing to be concerned with is the electromagnetic activity between the clouds and everybody at ground level. So there's been a lot of media information getting released currently about, I'm sure you've probably seen some things come out in Fox about climate lockdown. Like they want to push some new agendas for all that. Well, really, it's more of a soft mechanism to say that, they understand this impending situation that's unfolding, that, where do they draw the line in the sand with the information and how they present it? It's a whole nother story. But right now, that electric conductivity and the high winds and the increased water flow from these clouds are enormous. I could present some data. I don't know if we can. I think I can share some content with you if you want. I took some more recordings today showing that we've got massive clouds that are the size of buildings, if not larger. Like, I mean, massive clouds that are almost down, full of water, highly electrically charged, just floating over one-story buildings. And you can imagine if they drop down with that kind of charge potential, what the damage is going to do. But I don't think a lot of people are looking up to the sky to actually see too much of the phenomenon. Now, a lot of my subscribers and followers that stay in touch and document and watch this phenomenon can all attest, that this is really going on. Now, I know Michael, Mr. MBB333. You guys have spoken with him before, but we used to do a lot of broadcasts together and do a lot of astronomy stuff back in the day. There's another colleague. Her name is J7409 Jewel. She used to attend those astronomy meetings with us when we used to broadcast that back when all the comets were coming through the solar system. Today, she actively does weather. So she's got a huge subscriber base, and she does weather for all of the U.S. So she can also attest to a lot of these massive weather changes. Now, some of the stuff that I filmed in Dallas, nobody has, but we got some of that stuff featured with, Michael. But we've essentially have periodically since 2010 up to this day an increase, and it's well documented, an increase in cloud formations that almost look like they're nuclear bombs going off in the sky. And one of the recent features that Michael did, he featured photographs, but I actually have video of what looks like nuclear cloud formations appearing in the sky, like right above the head, that are unprecedentedly massive in scale and size. They caught a lot of that electrical activity on film, but it is increasing on all four corners of the states.
Right.
So
just this week, sinkhole opened up right here on Highway 30 in Indiana. So as you know, we're still looking to see what happened with that building in Florida. And the weather has been a hamper to the rescue situation there, the search and rescue recovery situation going on there. The weather has just been atrocious as they've been trying to recover the bodies and that situation down there. And then the lightning in Florida, as you know, has always been a problem, but there was a report of where lightning struck Highway 10 near Tampa and took a chunk of concrete right out of the road and right through a Toyota, I think it was not a Toyota, a Tundra truck, all the way through the windshield and out the other window. So this is what you're talking about, that because the clouds are getting so low and the compression is getting so tight, that we're going to see more of these kind of things happen.
That is correct. And what we're dealing with is highly charged plasma. And the more charged these clouds become, the more this radiation is emitting, the stronger the connection is being made, the stronger the charge, the more powerful the plasma discharge will be, which means it can destroy things. It can do like what you just described. It can totally rip holes in the ground. It can cut holes in the ground. It can destroy buildings, trees. It can do a lot of damage. It's one of the greatest cutting tools in existence right now, actually. So just to see it being used by the natural enactments of the earth itself. It's something that we don't really want to have happen, but what can we do today? There's not much that we can do on that. There's a lot of scientists today that are working on information on the things that could potentially be assisting in that. Just like Mike said, right, there are a lot of conspiracy theories around chemtrailing. Some people worrying about if they might be getting killed by that, but that's not necessarily, I think, what's going on. I think Mike had it right. And I used to do these documentaries back in the day, but I locked the videos because of the censorship campaign that's going on. But the reason we immediately had seen when the planes would go and they would fly and they would spray most of the metal particulates in the sky, it was to reflect the solar radiation back out and to help, stabilize some things.
Right.
Now to go hand in hand with that, one thing I can identify real quick for everybody to understand the radiation concept is the UV radiation. They've constantly increased that index on a lot of the monitors out on the open internet that's in the public domain. Like they've increased the threshold. The threshold in the old days used to be much lower. So if they were going above a certain threshold, they would say, oh, this is bad, like wear something, you don't want to be in that. But today they've increased it. Now they're like it's at 12, And what you will notice is when you go out into the sunlight and you're holding, let's say, your cell phone, you may not see the screen when you immediately go out into the sun and it can be on full brightness. Well, the reason is because that your cell phone is using the same light spectrum that the sun is emitting. And so since the sun is outshining the spectrum that your phone is resonating at or emitting light at, it's making it impossible for your eyes to see that light that's on the phone because it's canceling the spectrum out. So it's kind of like two lights shining on each other. And, right where the bridge is, you can't see anything and you're just blinded. So when you're looking at the phone, like you can turn it up on max brightness, but you still can't see it. You got to get in the shade or something. So you're not so you can actually see your phone. So I don't know, if you might have experienced that, but that's actually becoming a much stronger phenomenon today. So the UV index it's bleaching things, it's bleaching signs, it's bleaching license plates. So you may, go out and see license plates that look like they're solid white or road signs that look like they're solid white, or that's because the light pressure, the sun's radiation light pressure is so strong now that it's actually doing damage. So Mike, I think last Thursday, was warning people to be careful about the upcoming sun exposure. And he's definitely right about that because the radiation that we're talking about, it's cumulative. It'll continue to build up the more you're exposed to it, and it could be, bad for health later. So I would definitely, take a strong adherence to that on that note. So
Right.
to say.
And as a nurse, we have always said, you can get skin cancers and other cancers, of course, being exposed to radiation. So that's nothing to take lightly, especially if we're not getting through reading on just as much exposure as we're getting.
So in light in light of the electrical grid, because this is a very strong area of my practice
Right.
in science, is the movement of electrical energy. in plasma. We have so much heat and so much light pressure that's going on right now that it can't cause the grid to fail. If anything, we're dealing with thermal electric energy production, just like, when we're, doing nuclear energy production. So to, make statements that our grid, is suffering right now when we have plenty of thermal and sunlight production, it's really not accurate. I think the reason that, a lot of things are being used, like we're having a cyber attack on the grid. It's a way to softly massage the public's view into something for a light method to shut down, to not cause any panic about the destructive, from the destructive forces of what the current weather is doing, the electromagnetic spectrum is doing, the compression of the electromagnetic atmosphere, because as these clouds continue to build up more of a charge and this continues to go on, it will affect electrical systems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Mike from around the world ever talked about cloud chambers, but the cloud chambers essentially, if anybody's ever built one in a science class, I have, I know what they do. It basically allows you to see these particles go racing through the cloud, like cutting through the clouds, and those particles do things. They damage things. They damage electronics. They damage computer memory. They, can short things out. And that buildup right now is very, very strong. And the only way to see it with the naked eye, is one of a few things. It's like you can go out and you can actively see that the clouds are being dropped because something's going on with increased ground current. Mm-hmm. So in science, we say like charges repel and opposites attract. So clearly, the field of opposite polarity is growing so strong that it's causing the opposite that's built up in the clouds to attract the ground and bring those clouds down, creating more of these conditions.
Now, what would cause it?
Right. So I'm assuming that from what Mike said, because the Earth is trapping so much of that irradiation in, that now it's rising towards ground level and it's emitting outwards. And that field, it's an invisible field. You really can't see it, but it's there. It's outreaching and it's able to connect and pull them down. Mm. At first, when we were talking about the atmospheric compression, I thought that would be a condition with the barometric pressure pushing the clouds down to the ground level. But after I had several people go out with these precision barometric pressure reading devices, that's not the case. We had clouds that still stayed up at certain altitudes and they didn't move or fluctuate at certain times of the weeks or the days or the months. And so we said, okay, that doesn't have anything to do with the squeeze on the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So we immediately, just from, basic science can see that polarity change is definitely what has to be causing the clouds to come down.
Wow.
Now, everybody has already been soft massaged into weather modification. So back in the day, everybody said it's conspiracy theory, oh, it's not real, and nobody would have believed any of it. But now everybody knows that it's real. Right. So now that they know that it's real, there are some things I can talk about, but I won't teach people how to do this, but it's very real. But they have systems and devices that can attract and repel clouds. They can literally poke holes in the atmosphere to create rain conditions or large cloud formations. And they can do it with very simple and primitive devices. So the phenomenon, it's very real with this weather modification technology that we're talking about. And it doesn't just stem from HAARP, but if people want to get a really good reading on it, they can look up William Reich. And he is one of the prime inventors of the orgone accumulators that would actually create all of these conditions. So I just wanted to make a small mention of that. But would you like to see some of the examples of some of the cloud phenomenon?
Sure.
Yeah, I do have some that I happen to, and I can show some of the barometric readings too. Mm-hmm. That way you can look and see. You can look and see. Give 1 second here. Go ahead and let me know. Okay, I guess you can see that, right?
Yeah.
The barometric. 1 second. So can you see the, does it just look like a bunch of photos, or can you actually see the altimeter?
It's pretty small.
Okay, 1 second. That means it's, that means I need to, here we go.
There, now we
can. Okay, how about? Mm-hmm. Okay, so in here, like you can see that we're right on 30. So right, you see a 29, and then you can see where the hand is. It's on the 30 mark, right?
Right.
So if we move, we can see here now it's moved to the left. It's past the 30 mark. Okay. You can see that, right?
Right.
So you can actively see in the background, you've probably got a 4 or a 5-story building behind it, and then some clouds are just grazing the top of that building, and you can see that the barometric pressure is swung to the left, almost a half. It's the half of a pound.
Uh-huh.
So what that starts doing is it indicates that there's definitely going to be weather, but there's also definitely going to be pressure on people. Like people may start feeling earaches or pressure in their ears, or when they swallow, they might, their ears might pop, or maybe they might get an eye ache or something like that. Mm-hmm. So here we can see, here's another photo, and that we have more swing to the left, but now it's coming down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And now it's dropped back down to 30. So these are within 20 to 30 minute periods. So the fact that we have, a bouncing swing is not good. People are going to be feeling these effects. So here it's just swinging back to the left again. So let me just move. Continue to move. Here we're almost at a half a pound. Mm-hmm. That's really bad. So you can see, if you think about our habitat being at 30, mm-hmm. The swings are staying very high. Mm-hmm. Here we dropped. We're going down in the opposite direction now. you can see here, like we dropped. If I'm going too fast, just let me know.
No, I think that's good. So is that a
Yeah,
certain altimeter? It says it's from Japan. Is that a certain one that's better than?
yeah, it's a very precise precision altimeter for measuring barometric pressure.
Uh-huh.
So we're back at 30. So I'm not using this one specifically for altitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm specifically doing this for precision barometric pressure.
Uh-huh.
So here, see how, oh yeah, so we're back at the beginning again.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just one example of very fast barometric pressure changes that happen over, a 30-minute period.
Right.
Now, normally, if you look up what the normal changes are, those types of changes are supposed to happen over a 3-hour period or more.
Wow.
So the fact that it's happening within 30 minutes, to 40 minutes or 20 minutes means people, have to be feeling something from that. Animals, people. So.
Right. And we
All
have
right, give
something
me.
going on with birds in 6 states right now.
Yeah, we've been having the same thing here. I haven't figured out a proper way to present this data, but I don't mind mentioning it right now. We've had some bird deaths.
Mm-hmm.
We've had bees dying, a lot of bees dying, and there's no cell towers around, so it's not anything that's relating to 5G.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been finding more bees dead on the streets, on the sidewalks, like honeybees.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on with that. We've recently got reports in neighborhoods, in urban neighborhoods, and in the city that animals like predators are leaving their habitats and now roaming the regular like urban streets, like bobcats, coyotes.
Wow.
We've had vultures in the city, and we don't see vultures in the city
Mm-hmm.
and in urban neighborhoods. So we're seeing things like that. There was a document recording that I did recently when we had that strong pressure exchange. That's what prompted me to go out and get that precision instruments, because what we experienced a while back was we had liquids, gases in gas tanks in Irving, Texas, that the tank was a quarter full with gas.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some kind of pressure event. And when we had that event, the gas in a 14-gallon tank that's only 1/4 full expanded so much that when they opened up the gas cap in the cars, that the gas was spewing out of the gas tank.
Wow.
So the liquids or something was expanding in there, and we had no way to diagnose why that was happening, but it was occurring in cars.
Mm-hmm.
So it was documented. It's definitely on film. One second. Let's see here. Let me see. Let me show real quick what Michael, Mr. MBB333, had shared. 1 second. So here's a photo that Michael got from somebody in Dallas, right? So what you see in this photo is this giant mammatus cloud, but he's not showing the full picture. And I have the video. I'm going to show you the video
Uh-huh.
that includes this actual footage that I took myself.
Okay.
But when this thing formed, it was enormous. We're talking like really enormous. 1 second. Let me just grab it quick. My apologies. Just need to grab the video.
And you're in Dallas, right?
Yes, Dallas, Texas. 1 second. Range light. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. But we're going to be
Okay,
seeing more and more of these kind of weather events with this compression.
yes. Okay, here we go. I'm going to. I'm going to share this right now. All right, let me know if you can see it. I'm sharing it now.
Yeah.
So you see how this looks?
Yes.
So this is the video of the formation that happened. So the photos that Michael was sent was from this formation right here as it formed over my head.
Mm-hmm.
So did you catch that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Okay. All right. I won't repeat it. Let me just stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. So let me go ahead and share these just so everybody can see. 1 second. Okay, here you go. So that video that you had just seen, this is some pictures I took as it started getting more wild and crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna cycle through. I'm just gonna start cycling through some photos now, just to show the low cloud phenomenon that's going on.
Right.
So in these photos, clearly what we're look, this right here is just a small ramp to a bridge, but the clouds are so huge and carry so much potential. Look where they are in respect to where the cars are. Now, as people are getting on this bridge, which is really small, I mean, you can gauge the size of the bridge to the size of the car, and then you can see there's a building in the background. You can see how the clouds are grazing the building in the back, and you can see from the camera that the cloud is pretty much on top of the camera and me as I'm taking the pictures. So you can see clearly how low these clouds are.
Right.
Now, all of that has electrical potential. So that's what we're experiencing right now. We're seeing all of this come down to the ground now. The stuff that's generally up in the sky at 1,000 feet or more, usually when it's storming or when it's raining, is usually at a normal altitude. But now this is becoming the new normal. Every few months, they're getting lower and lower and lower. And it gets stronger every period of what I've been recording for the last 4 years is every 3 months, they have been dropping more and more and more and more. And when I keep hearing this stuff about the climate chaos countdown, what I've been correlating to when they're having these talks and these discussions is that every time they keep bringing this up every few months, that I keep seeing this phenomenon getting lower and lower and lower to the ground.
Wow.
And now Mike is talking about the water tables changing, that there's magma movement, that there's more activity that's going on underneath the surface.
Right.
So I think that for having the smoking gun proof, the absolute reality that it's happening before your very eyes, that these pictures right here are proving without a doubt. Just look how low these clouds are.
Right.
One-story buildings,
Mm-hmm.
massive inside, huge electrical energy potential. You can see like right here, like there's these exit signs on the freeway. They're down really low, the rooftops. The clouds are just grazing like everything now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see, like here's some houses, and these clouds are just grazing basically the rooftops. Now, as the wind is blowing, it's actually doing destructive damage at this level that they're at right now. Here's another one-story building, but you can see like where it looks like a tornado is about to just come down and touch right in front of me where the camera is. You can see where the cloud is, right?
Right.
Yeah. So these are just things that are just happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Here, is this one of the videos that I just took today? I don't think so. I took I took a barometric pressure reading earlier today. But I'll get to that.
I love the clouds
I'm
in the
sorry.
mirror too. That's an awesome perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So these photos where I have the barometric pressure was when I was trying to correlate cloud altitude and barometric pressure, and then much of that wasn't correlating with each other. Like the clouds were just doing some weird stuff. Like they would just race back up to the sky, and the barometric pressure would still be like really strong. So I was like, there's definitely some kind of polarity situation going on between ground and sky. So, but here you can see they're extremely low. So if you look at the upper part of the photo, the clouds are right there at ground level.
Yeah.
You know, like if they got any lower, you'd be walking through the clouds. You know.
Right.
So the guys that are driving trucks, semis, these are all photos I took on the tour back from New York. It's really wild, like what we're seeing. And these are, look, like the treetops back in the background. Look where the clouds are. They're touching the treetops.
Right.
So what will that do? If lightning starts connecting to ground in the trees, or animals that are back there on the ground, they're going to get fried, or fires are going to start, or transformers are going to pop. So, I mean, this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, the camera doesn't do too much justice in some of these photos, but here, like these clouds were going from right to left, and these trucks that were on the road were swerving because the wind pressure is very strong. So we have like a lot of that we're facing right now in that industry too. And here, this one was the most bizarre photo that I took in Arkansas. The clouds just all of a sudden made an arc, right? So they're at ground level, but then there's like this arc that they made right there. So I watched that form. So here's some more. Look, like they're just those clouds you see in the top of this photo were coming down and almost grazing the car.
Wow.
So I was like, you know, nobody will believe this unless they see it, you know. But yeah, it's pretty intense. Oh, sorry. Second here. One moment. So here, I think that's one I already got. Yeah, all right, I've already shown those. I just wanted to make sure that I got that.
So people can see this at your website as well, right? It's Shad0wburn3d.
Yeah, they can go to the community tab on my YouTube channel, and they can see in the community tab like where I posted a lot of those photos, videos, and data. So here are some photos that I sent to you guys from some truckers that were trucking on the road. just so you guys can see that the cloud activity is just getting insane. So right here, you can see that it's just really low. They're like 300 feet or lower.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see,
Right.
like how, look, like this right here is like literally like already running into the vehicle. This
Mm-hmm.
one's at ground level, like running into the vehicle.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so just illustrating a point. So if you just think about ground, we've got some serious opposite charges going on between ground and sky,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, we're gonna see things.
Mm-hmm.
The sinkhole formations will grow larger in size as the plasma is making connection with ground, because I don't know how many of your subscribers or followers may know some more of us energy scientists, but there were these experiments we used to do with a guy named MR2 Tough, and it would do with the sound and frequency, and they would basically show a sand table that would represent land, and on the land, then we would take a plasma generator and we would create lightning bolts, and we would make the lightning bolts hit the sand. And what would happen is when you slow the camera down in slow motion, you would see that the plasma, the lightning, would create large sinkholes and separate the land and just make it like disintegrate,
Wow.
like almost melt, like as if it were water or something.
Hmm.
So I think that's what we're witnessing today. I think Mike is pretty on point with everything, and we have other climate Scientologists that are coming forward and validating it.
Mm-hmm.
So more the question is where do things go from here, and how do we better prepare?
Right.
But I just I have one final thing I want to add in retrospect, because we're having power grid failures.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are contacting me for a lot of assistance with electrical energy generation.
Okay.
We have a lot of electrical technology that does exist, meaning electromagnetic technology. Now the question is who's using it, and where is it going? We have technology that supersedes nuclear and solar today. So we're all producing these devices, even things that are solid state, graphene based. And for anybody that wants to look into things that beat conventional physics, that defy Lenz's law, they can look up Thane Hines in Canada. He's currently contracting. He's almost kind of like another Tesla.
Hmm.
And he's invented a perpetual motion machine, which really isn't perpetual motion. It's almost, and he calls it a quantum motor.
Wow.
It's basically a self-propelled, never-ending machine that powers itself and amplifies its own power as it continues to run. So we really have those devices. We really have that technology. I had a phone call with him, and I asked him, I said, what's your main driving motivation behind the quantum device? Are you going to supply that to the people, or where are you going with it? Are you trying to cash out? Like, what are you trying to do with this technology? And he said, well, I'm under a government contract now, so how they're going to use the quantum technology for electrical energy generation moving forward is they are going to try to phase out all of the power systems and use the quantum technology to replace government infrastructure with the quantum technology, but people will continue to pay for regular power delivery the same way that they get it.
Hmm.
Now, while all of that is fine, so we don't like really kill a lot of jobs and create a lot of bad problems and conditions, the bigger question is, why are we still, getting told that we're having problems with electrical production? Why are we still having rolling blackouts? Why are we having, these power failures?
Right.
You know, so a lot of people understand that us electrical energy scientists, that's my area of expertise, is electrical energy generation.
Right.
Is we have the technology. It's just that why is everybody making it so difficult and for it to be accessible to everybody?
Right.
And we're trying to get beyond that. There's a lot of us that are working together, but we have the technology. It's very real. I've advertised that. I've shown that. I've talked with people, investors, patent people, like all kinds of people. So I know firsthand that we have the technology, but it's like, what can we do to like help everyone with this so that nobody has to go without electricity or power?
Right.
And that's one of the objectives that we're trying to achieve right now.
Right. And that's not a moment too soon, seeing we have 113 or whatever degrees in Portland, and rolling blackouts can actually kill people at that
Right.
levels. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad, and it really hurts me when I see some of the propaganda that I constantly see when it comes to electrical power generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like when we have plenty of sun and plenty of heat, we can produce a lot of electricity. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no way we can be without electricity if we have plenty thermal reaction going on.
Right.
Now in the cold, I came up with the other side of the math equation. How do you produce? They say, oh, it's getting too cold and we can't produce electricity because it's too cold. Well, the truth is when it gets cold, you can use electrostatic electricity to generate large volumes of electricity and plasma.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have anybody talking about it or engaging in it. And, it's like, who is really in control here? Like, who's trying to help who here? So that's the battle that we're constantly fighting every day. So
Yes, but God has given you witty inventions. Amen.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think God is working with me without question.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to say from that, is that I know that He is guiding me on whatever it is that's going on in my life. And meeting Pastor Paul, it's not by chance that some of us meet each other and have some of the talks that we have, or gain the information, or run into the people that we do. It's because somehow we're going to eventually collectively help each other for the greater good of humanity and, God's greater purpose for us all.
Right. So tell us again, how can somebody who would be privy to help you with the inventions that you're privy to get in touch with you?
Well, I always put on my YouTube channel. They can contact me at my Shad0wburn3d@gmail.com address. But I think 9 times out of 10, everybody, when they see the shadow burn part, they forget that the O is a numerical 0 and not the letter O. So that's probably why some of that happens. But I am kind of in the shadow band boat on YouTube, because we've demonstrated real technological devices. And and I work with people all over the world, and this is not a joke. I work with people all over the world, all over the country, different countries. And I don't know if you guys know who the Keshe Foundation is, but I've also done work with the Keshe Foundation. And it's all revolving around plasma and energy technology. But the problem is that for some of it, we really get blocked. and some of it we might even get attacked. Some of it we just, you know, we just get banned, like shadow banned.
Mhm.
You know, so we've dealt a lot with that. But
Mm.
a lot of the stuff, that as long as it follows conventional textbook and it conforms to sustaining somebody's agenda, a lot of people, they either grow bigger or they seem to survive and nobody gets anywhere and humanity doesn't advance and the technology doesn't advance. If you've been paying attention to the electrical stuff for the last 10 years, everything has been stalemated. And it's kind of saddening, but we shouldn't be in this. We shouldn't be in a stalemated position, because the technology that we really have really can produce large amounts of potential electrical energy, and we can't be locked in to one type of electrical energy device. We need to have multiple sources, so that when one has to, you know, have a backup source, that we have a backup source.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, everybody wants electric cars, but if the grid goes down, which we're experiencing that, now people can't charge the cars, so how do they get around?
Right.
You know, California has already started having those restrictions, so you can't charge your electric vehicle for a while because we're having an electrical thing. Well, now they can't drive anywhere, they can't get food, they can't go drive and get water, they can't help a family. You know, I mean, it's an ongoing thing, right? So there has to be some type of a backup energy source, like gas or fuel or something, and that just can't be eliminated.
Mhm.
Uh, but I just don't think that they have the right leaders leading the ship when it comes to, you know, electrical energy production and guidance and best practices and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah. So once again, you can reach you at Shad0wburn3d gmail.com, but it's with a 0. Shad0wburn.
Right,
Yes.
right.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for
All
sharing.
right, it's been nice talking with you.
Yes. All right. God bless.
God bless you.